January 26, 2018, a game that a ton of anime and fighting games fans all dreamed of was finally being released. With the release of Dragon Ball FighterZ, it brought familiar faces to the scene from various games like Street Fighter, Persona, Marvel, Injustice, Mortal Kombat, you name it. Everybody came together for a series that we all relate with and a series that we all grew up with. Dragon Ball FighterZ dominated 2018 in terms of players and viewership, and also in 2018 there was a man that dominated the game that seemingly came out of nowhere and made a name for himself. Hi guys, my name is Ryan and you are watching Plus on Block. In today's video we'll be talking about the greatness that is Hook Gang God.
That's right. Don't spend it.
Looking for the Super
Now I'm gonna keep it 100% with all of y'all. When it comes to HookGangGod, I never really heard of him until the Summit of Power, which was an event that happened a couple months after the release, but obviously HookGangGod has been competing in Dragon Ball FighterZ before then, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But first and foremost, we gotta talk about what makes HookGangGod HookGangGod. Especially early on when the game first came out, as with any fighting game, people are always looking at tier lists. People are always looking at what character is the best, what character is the worst, which character needs buffs, which character needs nerfs, and I don't know why I'm changing my voice like that, but anyway, in the very beginning stages of the game, a lot of people thought Goku Black was broken, obviously Vegeta was broken. Those were characters that were on the top of a lot of people's tier lists, but a character that wasn't there was Piccolo, and the only noteworthy player that was playing Piccolo was HookGangGod himself. Now, keep in mind, during beta, during the early release of the game, Piccolo had access to a Hellzone grenade where you literally couldn't see anything. On release, it was improved, but it was still there. And for whatever reason, the majority of people just thought, oh, well, it's not as broken as it was before. Well, I'm just dropping Piccolo entirely. But not HookGangGod. HookGangGod continued with Piccolo, and now when you think of Piccolo and Dragon Ball FighterZ, you have to think of HookGangGod in the same sentence. So before we go any further, let's talk about what team HookGangGod was using in the beginning stages of the game. So he started off with Piccolo, which I discussed, and we'll talk more about Piccolo later. He also had Vegeta on his team, which is very self-explanatory because Vegeta is a very strong character now, and even more so back then. Back then, when you used his assist, you had to hold the mix-up. You couldn't super dash through it, you couldn't do anything. Once that assist comes out, you gotta block, and then you gotta guess. Is it gonna be an overhead? Is it gonna be a low? Is it gonna be a grab? Is it gonna be a double overhead? You know, you're in the blender at that point. And then he was also using Goku Black, which at the time, very early on, a lot of people thought was the best character, or at least one of the best characters in the game, along with Adult Gohan. Now, when you look at Goku Black's kit, obviously he has the instant transmission. Obviously his 2H was ridiculous and could hit from insane range. His auto combo is a very good tool to use as well when you use the first couple of hits of it. But ultimately people figured out that without a light, a 2L, without a crouching light, it was pretty easy to play defense against him because his only low that he could really commit to was his crouching medium. So a lot of people kind of played around that, and now he's not viewed as powerful. Of course he's still very strong, of course he still has his spots. He's a good character that you could just plug in and play in different positions at any time, which is good about the versatility of Goku Black, but obviously now he's not as strong. But in the early stages, this is what HookGangGod was running with. As the game evolved, HookGangGod evolved with it. He stuck with his Piccolo and Vegeta core combo, but simply changed whatever broken character in the game was at that time. So he went from Goku Black, he went to Android 16, he went to Cell, and now he's at Bardock. And to be completely honest, I love it. If you guys know me, I'm an absolute tier whore. I love playing the strongest characters in any game possible, whether it's a fighting game, whether it's mobile, whether it's anything. If that character is broken, I'm playing it. And you guys have to remember, in a competitive scene, these guys are not only playing for reputation, they're not only playing for money, they're also playing for their ego. You know, in an environment like that, you want to win. And what's the best way to win? Play the best characters. And that's exactly what HookGangGod did. Transitioning from Goku Black to Cell to Android 16 to Bardock, it's just a natural progression of how a lot of competitive players eventually changed up their team, because at the end of the day, you want to win, you want to take home that #1 spot, and more importantly, you want to take home that money. Now, HookGangGod was competing in events before the Summon of Power, but that's when I really became noticed to him. But before then, he was competing at things like Winter Brawl 12 a few weeks after Dragon Ball FighterZ was released, and he also won NLBC, you know, the locals that we all know and love. He came second in. So he has been competing for a while, and obviously at that time he was running with his core of Vegeta, Piccolo, and Goku Black. But for me and for a lot of people, I would think where HookGangGod really came onto the scene and really made a name for himself was at the Summon of Power 2018. This Summon of Power had players that were absolutely out of their mind in terms of skill. We're talking about Sonic Fox, Goichi, Kazunoko, the Yamcha God. We got Moke. Obviously, Leffen was there as well with his Android 21. Guys like the Kill Sage, Dogura, Nakio. I mean, there was just so much talent. So many people competing in this event. And HookGangGod won it all. Of course, going up against Sonic Fox in the finals, it was definitely a match to be remembered. HookGangGod's Piccolo play changed Dragon Ball FighterZ forever, and I think that everybody can completely agree with that. When you look at his performances, when you look at how he plays, he completely changed how people had to adapt fighting against Piccolo of all players, because a lot of people weren't even fighting Piccolos up until this point. Obviously, people started to pick him up after this, but without a doubt, HookGangGod is the best Piccolo player in the world. His Hellzone grenade setups mid-screen were nasty, but let's not even start talking about the snap meta, where you'd snap people in, set up your Hellzone grenades, and now they have to guess, but within all of that confusion, you're also building meter while you're getting your hits, so you can infinitely loop Hellzone grenades. Now, obviously, that's since then been nerfed with the latest patches. It is more difficult to gain meter now, so things like that can't really occur, but these are all things that have come from HookGangGod's amazing Piccolo play. For me, HookGangGod will always be a player that I'm cheering on simply because he was that underdog. He took a character that was considered low tier and single-handedly brought them to one of the top tiers in the game based off his play, based off his game knowledge, and based off his skill. Guys, HookGangGod is definitely one of the greatest players we've seen in Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I hope he continues to compete, and I hope he continues to take W's after W's after W's. Guys, this is Plus on Block, Ryan here from Plus on Block, that is, and make sure that you don't press any buttons because you'll get counter hit unless you are pressing that like button or that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.
I don't even know what to say.
Let us hold on. Give us quiet. Give us silence. Give us dead silence. The floor is yours.
I don't even know what to say, but it all paid off. I'm so happy. Piccolo.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes.